That's the most cutting edge thing that I think this chip does, is that it can make you feel a 7.1.4 ceiling speaker, this and that, but with just a few speakers that are in front of you integrated into a bar and not at a crazy cost. So that's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah.
And you're going to get to talk to it. It's going to control things in your apartment, and we're living in the future here.
That interaction, that natural interaction, that the personal side of it, I think is what's going to kind of change the trajectory longer term. Right now, it's moving breakneck speed.
Yeah.
But I think when it becomes more conversational and your speaker or whatever that device is more of a companion and less of a utility, changes the game.
Oh yes, it's the Qualcomm podcast. I'm PJ, and thanks for listening. Qualcomm makes some of the best technology on the planet. I'm going to bring you interviews with the experts and the inventors here so you can understand how the technology works and find out what's coming next. Today we're talking about our new system on a chip for smart audio devices with some very special guests. Stephanie Rogers from our voice and music team and Gary Brotman from our AI team.
We've got a ton of people in the room because we've got a product right now that I need a lot of help with. So Stephanie Rogers, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
We're going to be talking about what is the product name again?
QCS400,
Awesome.
which is a new series of SoCs for smart audio.
Smart audio devices, great. So we had to bring in Gary Brotman, who's our product manager for AI. Last time, is that fair? Is that
Well,
here, give it to us. Give us the official title.
So we actually have a big team doing AI.
Of course.
So there's a strategy side of the house, and then there's a product management side of the house. So
Cool.
I'm responsible for leading the AI strategy and product planning side. But we have a separate team that's doing the execution on the software and the hardware. Basically, everything that we do moving forward is going to have some component of AI in it.
Totally. There's also something else about Gary. He is he's currently, I think, the All-Star Champion title. We had, you should check out our last episode, not our last one, but we did one with AI before. And I knew it was one of the best ones because I was walking, after it was published, I was walking on the boardwalk in Pacific Beach, and it was a beautiful day out, and all of a sudden I just get a phone call from my mom. And she's like, I was like, hey, so nice to talk to you. She's like, listen, I don't have much time. But that last AI episode with that Gary fella, that was the best one. I was like,
you're so kind.
I was like, oh, okay. I was cool.
That's
I was
funny.
like, how's your day going otherwise? I don't have time to talk, but you needed to know that.
That's funny.
So, awesome stuff. Thanks for coming back in, Gary. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, and Jerry's my mom's least favorite. She said, never bring Jerry. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
So you do marketing for our audio technologies. So I need your help with this also. This is a big one. So Stephanie, so what is the product?
So like I said, it's a new series of SoCs that are specifically dedicated for smart audio. What that means is smart speakers, soundbars, audio-visual receivers, any kind of home hub that has audio capabilities, pretty much any voice-enabled audio device that you might have in the future.
Cool.
That's what these are designed for.
So just to kind of set this up, I think audio is seeing a renaissance right now. And I was thinking about this morning. I feel like I traced it. This is a weird PJ theory, but I think I traced it back to where we entered a little bit of like a dark ages of audio. I think I remember this interview with, well, let me start where it dawned on me that like audio is just so important. So I'm 36 now. I was a 20 or 19-year-old in college when high definition like really first came on the scene for video. And Mark Cuban debuted a channel dedicated to providing high definition content. I remember watching an interview with him and they were talking about his channel and they were like, so your channel is just 24/7 stunning visuals. And he goes, no. He's like, that's half of it. He's like, audio is half the experience. And it dawned on me, I'm like, audio is half the experience. It's like, I think he's right. Like that's the visuals are the spectacle and the audio is what pulls you in. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it really engaging.
Yeah, and I think as well as that whole immersive audio, which is a huge key theme about this product.
Yes.
There's another thing, which is that being true with audio to the sound that the artist recorded. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really important part of it. It's being able to replicate for the listener the as close as possible to what the artist was trying to record in the studio if you're talking about music.
Yes.
So a lot of time you record a file and you lose a little bit, and maybe it doesn't sound quite the same. And in some way you might have lost some of that art. So true audio files, I think that concept is a really important part of the audio story.
So
as well.
this is a piece that's designed for, everything, but all the way up to audio files, you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Got it. It has that quality. And to that point, once we got the flat screen LCDs, I think there was no room to put deep woof, cones inside of these televisions. So audio just got worse. People didn't make the effort to go out and buy, surround sound systems, even though, Mark Cuban gave us the advice. But now, it would drive me nuts when people have these beautiful televisions, but not good sound systems.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think audio, to your point about new ways of recording, new ways of playing back, which we're going to get into, audio and it's not just playing back, but now your audio devices are listening to you. And that's where the AI component comes in. That's why we grabbed Gary back in here.
Well, it's more than just listening to you, right? It's also the way that you can apply the technology to improve the quality, whether it's the quality of separating a voice from the background noise, or just in general, improving the sound quality of an audio file. The technology that's being brought to bear today, specifically AI algorithms that are helping the quality side, can make a lower end product sound very rich. As a result, you can be on a low-end single mic solution and be able to achieve the same thing you could with a higher-end device with multiple microphones. That's one of the benefits of AI.
Wow.
So you can still have high-end, transducers, and the quality of the physical equipment can be high-end and justify cost. But really, there's so much that you can do to bring a lot of that high-quality sound and experience down in mid to lower-end devices today.
Wow.
I would definitely agree with that. And there's other features as well where more on the kind of audio capability side of the SoCs that we're announcing that really help with that sound quality as well across the spectrum of actual price points. So what we're really hoping is that the speakers that are smaller and that are maybe not premium in the sense of cost can still deliver great audio experiences for people.
What's inside this chip? And then what features do you think marquee features does it enable?
There's loads inside this chip.
Okay.
So it's essentially, I think, if I just break it down into 3 categories to make it easy to digest. I think the first one, if we just talk about the audio, and I'm kind of focusing more on the actual amplification, the kind of processing, that kind of thing. So there's a Qualcomm processor on the chip. We've got up to 32 channels of audio processing, and it can support Dolby surround sound and DTS surround sound.
Wait, 32 channels meaning 32 speakers?
Output, yeah, different types of outputs. So for soundbar applications, you might want to have networking and or AVRs where there's lots of different channels of sound. That's what that can enable. Up to 32 channels is a really kind of top end of the spectrum.
What is AVR?
Audio visual receiver.
Okay.
So certain setups, if you're really kind of going to the absolute max for your home kit that you could possibly get, you might want to get an audio visual receiver, which is kind of a more, I don't want to say dated, but it's you might get an audio visual receiver and you'd use that to kind of set up all your network speakers. And
a lot of these soundbars kind of have a mini version of that built in.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. But someone who's a real audiophile who spends a lot of money on each individual speaker would then have this receiver that they would upgrade every few years because they want new features. And
I just think for certain spec home cinema setups, that is still a kind of very important product.
Absolutely. They have a whole room dedicated to this at Best Buy.
Yeah.
That's the hey, we've got some more guests joining us. Lauren, Haley, have a seat.
And it's not just for movie theaters. You can actually do this in a home in a relatively cost-effective way. You don't have to be a high-end audiophile to experience that.
So 2 years ago, I purchased a 5.1 surround sound system, but I wanted a 7.1.4 with Dolby Atmos spatial audio, which you're going to have to define. Well, let's define this. So what is this spatial audio?
So spatial audio is when you're taking into account where sounds are coming from. So if you're watching a movie or anything on the video,
Yeah.
the spatial audio it can positionally come from anywhere around 360 degrees, anywhere around you. Those sounds are individually mapped around the room.
So they have basically not just advanced like location in terms of 360, but they also have depth. So it's like 3D. So am I wrong? Is this kind of like the evolution of like audio in the home at home? It was like stereo, you had left and right.
Yeah.
Then it was like surround, you had added some behind you. And now to Gary's point with spatial, it's like we add them to the ceiling and they're coming at every direction.
Yeah.
So it's a dome of sound, which we call spatial audio.
Spatial, yeah.
Which is 360,
Fully
three-dimensional.
Immersive. Yeah. Yes, and that's pretty much the top end of home cinema that you can get now, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. You're framing audio as a home theater experience in the home.
Right now.
Yes.
I
just want to make sure we're clear here.
Right.
That seems to be you're gravitating towards that.
Well, this is part one of the product.
Yeah, part one.
This is part one.
Yeah.
Oh no, totally. We're gonna get into all of it. So and part one is just a good experience. So to your point though about like this was, and actually to Gary's point, so like this is the high end. When I purchased my 5.1 2 years ago, I kind of wanted this, but it wasn't affordable just yet. Mm-hmm. But now, they're coming to price ranges that we can get, and you don't necessarily have to have all these speakers.
No, and that's one of the great things I think. You can actually the soundbar, the technology behind the kind of Dolby Atmos, you can do it with just the soundbar, and it can bounce off other surfaces in your room. So you don't need to have all those network speakers. You can literally just have the soundbar and it will work if you configure it correctly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So category one, you'd say, is the audio
the
playback.
immersive audio, and just to quickly kind of finish off on that one, we also support our own premium amplification. So we have a product called Direct Digital Feedback Amplifier. Mm-hmm. It basically enables very premium amplification on a digital amplifier, which wasn't possible really before. So we support that, and also our aptX technology, which makes the audio over Bluetooth significantly better. So by all those things combined, you've got a really rich portfolio of audio options on the SoC.
That's cool. And aptX is built into Android now.
Yeah.
So if you were to pair it to your Android device, to one of these surround sound systems, basically, you would get audio quality over Bluetooth that's just superior, basically.
Yes, correct. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the next category?
The voice UI.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So the vision of the future of the smart home, you can't really talk about that and not talk about the voice UI and that side of things.
And voice UI meaning this is like Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa.
Yeah. Well, the voice UI in and of itself is not necessarily... So there's a subtle difference between a cloud assistant and actual voice UI. So voice UI is the device's ability to hear you, understand a command, and execute it. That is voice control, voice user interface.
Okay.
Adding the cloud assistant is then those platforms which are owned by like Amazon or Google in the cloud, having the ability to connect to those and then use the cloud information to kind of respond to queries and add value in that way.
Got it.
And that's what we're really working towards with this SoC. So it's making the voice response near instant, much faster. Even if there's no internet connection, it's still going to work. You could take your speaker to the park and still talk to it, and it would still be able to hear you, even if it's not connected to the internet.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's not so much new experiences as it is making the experience better. Doing it on device, you have much lower latency. So the idea of asking your personal assistant for something, or the experience today, which is typically, you're filled with lots of pauses and empty space, that's not really conversational. That's mechanical. It's robotic, right? It's really, truly a command and control experience. You're kind of waiting a couple seconds to get something that you asked for.
Yeah.
If you do more of that on device, you can give an immediate response, real-time response, while at the same time fetching context, whatever the person wants, from the cloud. It's not an either-or. It's actually a combination of the two, and they work very well together. The other piece is, privacy. your voice print is a way to identify you.
Yeah.
And if that can be used for nefarious purposes, if it gets out
Interesting.
in the public and somebody wants to impersonate you,
Yeah.
that's a problem. So being able to recognize certain commands or keeping your voice local, there's a privacy impact. And then the other thing is just accuracy. With state-of-the-art neural networks and the amount of data that they're trained on, the variety of data, being able to provide a more generalized approach to how the algorithm detects or classifies things, and become more precise when you ask for a specific word, even if it's in a certain dialect or let's say your dialect, being able to detect your voice versus somebody else's. That's all being afforded by AI. So it's making that experience far more rich and real time and immersive.
Got it. So you can have like different users using the one smart speaker, and it would do different things based on who's asking, or just to be able at least to acknowledge who the person is and listen to them correctly.
It could do, yeah.
Yeah, that's an algorithm. It's a developer OEM choice. If they want to load that algorithm on there to be able to detect speaker versus just general speech, that's possible. Sure.
Configured.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, personally, that's what excites me is how this becomes so much more personalized. That interaction, that natural interaction, that the personal side of it, I think is what's going to kind of change the trajectory longer term. Right now, it's moving breakneck speed.
Yeah.
But I think when it becomes more conversational and your speaker or whatever that device is more of a companion and less of a utility, changes the game.
That's cool. That's crazy. Totally crazy. Okay, so we have the playback part, we have the AI listening to you, smart speaker part. You said there's a third, you feel like, category here.
Yeah, so I think it's just worth talking about the connectivity part of it. The capability of networking throughout your home. So if you had speakers set up in different rooms, because we talked a lot about the immersive cinema experience, but really most people have maybe a smart speaker in their kitchen, maybe another speaker in some other part of their house. So this has got capability sufficient for networking and also low latency networking in particular. So you can maybe listen on your wireless headset if you were watching TV.
Latency is the
speed of the audio to your to whichever device you've connected. So
and bad latency, let's say, if you were watching video, like the lips would be out of sync with the voices.
Yeah, that's the prime kind of way to explain it. Yeah, I think for people that like to do gaming online, it could be a real issue if you're playing with headphones and someone shot you and you didn't realise that your character had been eliminated. Or so the latency part is really critically important. But also if you're networking multiple speakers, latency is very important because you don't want them to be out of sync with one another. So you're going to relay a signal between those speakers, and if the latency is not good enough, you could end up with disjointed experience. So what we're really trying to do is completely enable freedom from wires, really, throughout the house, throughout the home. You could network speakers anywhere in your home. You could control them from the soundbar, or maybe you just have a smart speaker and that can network to other speakers. And
Got it.
You can group the speakers and play different things in different rooms if you want. So that's quite a rich functionality that we can offer.
Got it. And that's mission critical because we're not talking about the connection, the speed, latency connection to the internet. We're talking about them just working together and making sure the sound happens at the exact. Because if that's broken, just like we were talking about, this is the engaging part, and all of a sudden the experience is broken.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing is to make, like, for when we were talking about making that kind of vision a reality, it needs to work seamlessly together. Otherwise, people just aren't going to adopt it. It's not going to be good enough.
Totally.
So, yeah, it's trying to make sure that works. The capability for tri-radio coexistence is a really important feature.
Wait, tri-radio, three.
Yeah.
So tri-no means three. 3
radios all at the same time. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Zigbee.
And that's huge because I think a lot of people don't realize they buy an IoT device and they have to buy a quote unquote hub that comes with it. And all that hub it's just a Zigbee to Ethernet or
Yeah.
Zigbee to Wi-Fi or Zigbee. But now this is built in to the stereo.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about going out and
Yeah.
spending money on an extra.
And my understanding is that the actual technicalities of being able to offer that tri-radio coexistence is pretty challenging. So for our customers,
Yeah.
we've done that work for them so that they don't have to go through the pain of configuring it all themselves. Say they wanted to just add Zigbee on as a additional thing.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that, and it can be quite an engineering challenge
I
that
see
we've
what you're
overcome
saying.
for our customers.
It's like
So yeah,
it's like, hey, you got this thing. It's like, oh, you want to add another wireless into the mix?
Yeah.
Like, go figure that one
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But we figured it out so that they're not interfering with each other. You still
Exactly.
get the best bandwidth out of each one of them that's possible, and the
Yeah.
latency.
exactly.
Okay, wow. So, all right. So this chip provides basically a killer immersive spatial audio experience, a killer voice UI experience,
Yeah.
and then also it's your hub for all of your IoT devices to connect to them.
Yeah. Nailed it. Many more consumers now genuinely do believe sound quality is important for when consistently in our research, more than 70% of consumers. So
absolutely.
we know that people care about sound quality massively.
Yeah.
And
you know,
Yes.
the people who say they
we-
don't haven't experienced it yet.
Maybe
that's,
not,
That's
yeah.
my theory. Like,
But they also
no, you really, no, some people they listen. All right, not for anything. We're gonna get into a whole nother topic, a whole nother day. But Haley just had her first noise canceling experience.
Yes.
She never had. I was on an airplane with her going to our Tech Summit event, and Jerry pulls out his ridiculous Sony M series top of the line headphones that I was just craving. I pulled out my older ones that had noise canceling, and Haley pulls out her like little earbuds that she probably given her for free on like another airplane or something. I was like, "What are you doing?
You don't have to say
what
that.
are you doing?" Yeah, but no, because now she's in the game. Now we brought her in the. I was like, "Haley, look, put these on," and she was like,
The
"Whoa."
Sony's, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. She was like mind blown. Now she's got a pair. But I would think maybe perhaps she would have been that one that's like, nah, audio isn't
not
important to me.
priority.
If she took the test a few months ago. Now
Yeah.
she would be like, no going back.
But I think,
Yeah.
I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
And I think there's two things to it though, because we specifically asked, like, is it important enough to you that you would pay extra for it? So we know that people actually will pay the money for premium quality.
Well,
It's not the same as just being like, yeah, I do care about it, but oh no, I'm not going to actually spend my money on it. So, and then people did. I can't remember the exact stat, but it was definitely in and around that 70% mark. They believe that they can tell the difference between high resolution audio. That's what they believe themselves.
Gary has his notes.
So
no, again, it's subjective,
whether it's
right?
true
It's
or not.
subjective.
And
There's a number of factors that influence that sort of a study. What's great about what we're building here with this platform is that we make high quality accessible, right? Accessible in that it can be slotted into multiple price ranges so you can get high quality. If you really want high quality, you don't have to spend $1 million for it. Now, the acoustics and whatever the quality of the equipment may make the cost high, but getting that experience, that high quality experience can happen across the spectrum.
yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
And it's our listeners should go online and just look at spatial audio, at like soundbars in general, and just see so they could see that the price range, but also like the way it bounces off the ceilings. They could see these maps, and it's like unbelievable. And this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
This product is built so it can be in these ridiculous receivers that have you can hook up 32 speakers, but also in these soundbars that just have a few speakers on there that are bouncing off walls and tricking your brain.
Yeah.
And hearing is believing. And
Hearing is believing.
Thanks for listening to the Qualcomm Podcast. And if you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, you can do so via SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. For even more news on Qualcomm technology, check out our Facebook page and Twitter feed. And by the way, my friends from legal really want you to know that references to Qualcomm may be Qualcomm Incorporated, Qualcomm Technologies Inc., and/or its subsidiaries.